Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Shacey Bender, I'm Cheyenne, and I'm Sierra, and welcome back to this week's video. Today, we would like to discuss the highly anticipated Thundermans film, The Thundermans Return. So, buckle up and get back in that Ace moving company truck from the intro because we're going back to the original house in this movie. But before we get into our thoughts on the Thundermans Return, we have to let you know that there will be spoilers in this video. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers, please click off and come back to this once you've watched the movie. But if you've seen it already or if you don't care, thank you for staying. Thank you for watching. Honestly, the spoilers aren't that big of a deal. No. I mean, not to be mean, but like this movie's like plot isn't that big of a deal either. Yeah. We'll get into that. I wouldn't say it's anything life-altering, like for the characters or anything, so now that we've given that disclaimer, let's get into the review. Starting with our general thoughts of the movie, not going too into depth with it, what was the vibes, you know? Overall, it was just a very funny movie. We laughed more than we thought we would, actually. Like, this movie got quite a few laughs out of me. Again, I just wasn't expecting there to be as many jokes as there were. Even though it is a sitcom, it was just like one after another. They really did play into the fact that this was a movie from a sitcom, which I think was the choice to go with. They made it a lot about comedy, so even if every joke didn't hit, there were about like 8 other good jokes to come after one mediocre joke to make up for it. I love that everyone came back for this movie. Everyone. Even people that you wouldn't have thought would even be in this film were in the film. The shock that I had when Oyster and Gideon, and just all of Max's friends were there at Splatburger, I couldn't. The band. That bone is so... I've looked up that clip probably 30 times within the past 2 years. Because I always forget, wait, what was that again? But yeah, I always come back to bonus toe. This also relates back to, the first point that I said with the comedy as well, and how they made it about basically being a movie from a sitcom. This movie, it really felt like it was made for the fans specifically, keeping their interests in mind, and they just know their audience. It didn't feel like a reboot to appeal to a different or younger audience, which I was, a little bit, afraid of, but it's not. I mean, I didn't think that it would be, to be honest. Yeah, I didn't think so either. Especially from the trailers, it was just giving all of the exact same vibes that the original did. But you do always have to worry about that when it comes to newer media on these children's networks. But overall, it just felt like a continuation of the show. Okay, so now that we've gotten our general thoughts out of the way, let's actually get into the cinematography. Honestly, when I first saw the trailers, I wasn't exactly sure how this film was going to be filmed. I couldn't tell if it was still gonna be in the classic sitcom style, but it was actually. And it was basically, like Cheyenne said earlier, a sitcom film, which I was very happy about. It's shot pretty much exactly like the show. If not exactly like the Thundermans, then maybe a little bit more like Henry Danger. And there was still a laugh track that is very important. I think, when I saw the trailers, I was like, ugh, are some of these jokes not gonna hit? Because there wasn't a laugh track in the commercials, and then some of the jokes, seemed, really awful due to that. Because it just seemed very awkward, because the way they advertised for this movie was really weird. They acted like it was this epic action movie. Acting like it's not a sitcom. Yeah, when it wasn't. But it's fine. Not to downplay it at all. This film was exactly what it needed to be, because this is the Thundermans, just a sitcom about a superhero family. But really, first and foremost, it's more of a sitcom rather than a superhero action thing. Like, this is not like a Marvel movie, you know? The effects were fine for a Nickelodeon film. I mean, no offense, but Nickelodeon isn't known for making anything legendary. The effects, I think, for a lot of things were always better on Nickelodeon than Disney Channel. I said this before, and I'll say it again. Like, as long as it doesn't look like Lab Rats Season 1, like that force field from that one episode, like, if the CGI is better than that, like, it's good. It's fine for a kids network. Yeah, because that's the thing, is that I feel like with the comparison to Disney Channel, it's like Nickelodeon had better cinematography and cameras and effects on their TV shows, but then flopped on the movies. But then Disney Channel was the opposite. It looked bad on the TV shows, but then they had bigger budgets for their films. Yeah, I always think about that. Like, not trying to get off track with the review, but I would like to point out, just Nickelodeon in general, think about the fact that iCarly and Wizards of Waverly Place were out at the exact same time, and Wizards of Waverly Place still did not fit the full screen. It was not an HD
Got
show.
them black bars,
yeah,
and kind of a fuzzy camera.
Like, I just want to point that out. Not to crap on Disney Channel, because, you know, we love Disney Channel on this YouTube channel, but, you know, I do have to give some props to Nickelodeon. So as far as the effects, I mean, they looked worse than I feel like they did on the show. Maybe I'd have to go and rewatch a few clips. I'll come back to that in editing.
So we just went back to go see some clips, and after reviewing them, in some instances, it's on a case-to-case basis, where sometimes it looks better in the show, sometimes it looked better in the movie, but overall, it looked better in the show. And a lot of that we think has to do with the cheaper effects being done on current day cameras, which we will get into in a second.
And I think that a lot of that has to do from the cameras being clearer. And
yeah,
so now you can see more
effects clearer, so you could see more. You could see it and it doesn't look as real. You know, it's kind of like how if there was crazy effects in a film from like the 70s or the 80s, it would look more real because everything was a bit blurry.
That's obviously if the effects were even good in the first place, of course.
In 2013, when this show came out, the cameras were very clear, but still not nearly as clear as they are now.
And it's even as far as some of the props that they would need green screening for, like, they were in a helicopter for, like, a helicopter parenting bit. It's on the nose, but it's, like, smart, though, at the same time.
Yeah, I thought it was really funny.
But the thing is, I swear that that's just the Henry Danger helicopter. That's the man-copter. A lot of stuff with this and Henry Danger were fairly similar. So,
yeah. Take a sip.
Now, this next section of the video is probably where we have the most opinions, and it's going to be the longest part of the video.
In this section of the video, we are going to be discussing the characters, lore, and family dynamics, which is really the heart of the Thundermans, period. And I am so happy and proud to say that the family has not changed. They are exactly the same, even like despite the fact that they have aged significantly. I just really like that. I didn't think I would come out of this film saying this, but Billy was the highlight. He is an icon.
He was definitely the main comic relief of this movie, and he was just so funny. You know, I was worried about how this was going to play off. I don't know, his old personality. I'm like, how are they gonna keep this the same and have it not be weird because it's not coming from, like, a child anymore? But somehow it was exactly the same but felt right. It was the weirdest thing. I don't know how this actor, like, wait, I forget his name. Oh my god, I can't think.
Oh my god, I feel so bad. I can't remember either.
Yeah, but I don't know how he did that, but it was perfect, and it was exactly everything it needed to be.
It's just so weird, because it's like, he was the main comedy of this film. Like, anytime that there was something really funny, they would always just cut to him, and it would always be his moment. It was amazing. And he literally talks the same. I don't I don't know how this is possible. It's a little creepy, honestly.
Yeah, because, like...
It's, like, creepily good.
Yeah, I was very impressed. As for his sibling, Nora, she doesn't wear bows anymore. Are you kidding me? But I do get it. She's grown out of it. She is much older now. And at least they addressed it, because in all the trailers, I was like, she isn't wearing a bow. And then I got to a significant amount in the movie, and she's still not wearing a bow. Then Nora and Billy, right before they were about to leave the house to go to high school for the first time, Barb was like, oh my gosh, do you want a bow? And Nora's like, it's not really my thing anymore. So I'm glad that they addressed it. I kind of like it, but it's also kind of sad, because it shows growth. But...
Yeah. I feel like if they were going to continue and, like, make more content, that it needs to come back. What if she's like, she goes through her old stuff and is like, wait, though, I'm, like, kind of attached to this. You know, she puts on a bow. Even if it's for a joke or a bit, I just need to see that again. And obviously, the most important thing of the entire movie is that Hank broke through the ceiling at least once, which is a win, obviously. Hank used to piss me off a lot. He was definitely my least favorite character when I was a child. I thought he was so annoying. Beyond, like, breaking through the ceiling and, like, everything else, I just thought that he was, like, a really annoying husband. I thought that Barb could do better, and I didn't think that his powers were impressive. Like, what, you turn coal into, like, diamonds? Like, get out of here. Like, no one cares.
The Hank hate.
But anyway.
He wasn't even annoying in this movie.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I was getting to. I had too much hate, that, like, old hate deep down in me, that I forgot to get to my main point. He wasn't annoying in the movie, actually.
Yeah.
Good use of Hank's character.
Because when we were kids, we absolutely loved him.
Barb deserved better. As for Barb, there's not much to say about her in this movie. She was always iconic, and she still is. She stayed exactly the same as she was in the show, and she slayed. I think Barb was my favorite character when I was a kid. And I don't know why, but she definitely was. Maybe I thought her powers were better, and she was the most rational one.
Yeah. Electress is iconic. Just in general, obviously Max and Phoebe are the stars of the show, and I genuinely missed them. And so getting to see them together again in this film, it was sentimental, to be honest. It was so sentimental. And they are one of my favorite TV twins other than Zach and Cody. You know, we would know we are twins and we are experts on who the best twin characters are in television, so only our opinions are valid. This whole entire film was really surprising, but what was really surprising to me is Chloe's character. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really remember her character from the show. I think by the time that Barb and Hank had another kid and, like, she was, like, growing up, I checked out. I kind of tuned out. I think I was, like, worried it was gonna be, like, Good Luck Charlie, and so I just actually stopped watching when I was younger out of fear of that. But I'm gonna have to watch, like, all these episodes that Chloe was in, because she was amazing in this movie. I really like her presence in the film. I am not exactly sure if I'm saying her name right, but Maya Leclerc, literally, best child actor I have seen in years. Not trying to, you know, trash talk children, but the acting with children these days has not been hitting. There have been some standout actors that are or were children, like, within the past couple years that, like, were really good, like, probably, like, Young Sheldon or something like that. Yeah. I've never watched Young Sheldon, but I see clips all the time, and that acting is good. Especially when it comes to Disney Channel and Nickelodeon.
No, I feel like
the acting has gotten so much worse in comparison to the 2010s.
After Jessie, there were no good child actors anymore. Because on Austin and Ally, when the A&A Music Factory happened, that was the worst thing I have ever seen in my life. I actually can't. Now, also, I do think that they didn't know what to do with the show, so the script was kind of...
So let's just add a bunch of children into it, and that is never a good idea.
Do you remember, like, when we were growing up, and it was, like, the early 2000s, and it just felt like in every TV show there were kids in the plot lines, even if they weren't the main characters, and it was still funny?
And they were absolute stars, aka Rico, Hannah Montana. He stole the whole show.
It's just crazy how anymore I feel like I loathe younger kids being in TV shows because the acting is just unbearable.
Oh my gosh.
And I know that they're kids and I feel horrible for saying it.
Yeah.
But like when you have children like this who are so phenomenal at acting.
The best example is the girl who played Avery from Dog with a Blog when she was on Sunny with a Chance.
She's literally the best child actor I have ever seen in my life.
I kind of hate that I even have to talk about this next point because it should have never happened in the first place.
Yeah. So about Mrs. Wong's accent, she does not have it anymore. Thank God. It's such a step in the right direction.
But actually, what was that? You can't ignore that that was not okay.
I remember when I was a kid, I felt so uncomfortable with the existence of Mrs. Wong's character because of how stereotypical she was with the stereotypical voice and accent and like her just being angry and stuff. It was such a really bad racial stereotype.
Actually, that was one of the craziest, most exaggerated accents I have heard on television.
And especially because the actress does not have
an
accent. Because the thing is that I remember hearing this woman's voice for the first time in a commercial a couple years ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's Mrs. Wong from the Thundermans. And I was like, oh my gosh,
who is that?
This is what she actually sounds like. It was just a crazy moment.
Like, we both just looked at each other and we're like,
oh
not, like, especially now even knowing that, we were like, that was not okay. That was crazy.
Yeah. So they tried to do the right thing with this, and I was very glad, because justice for Mrs. Wong. Like, please. Because this has been on my mind for a very long time.
It was a product of its time.
In 2013, I just remember there being, like, just so much racism
towards
like,
Asian people.
Especially in kids media. And when I look back, it's very present. And I even was watching a couple Austin and Ally episodes, and there was multiple instances of racial stereotypes, again, when it comes to Asian characters. It's just very frustrating.
That's why I despise their Glee episode. I'm just saying, why is an Asian person speaking an Asian language funny? How is that comedy?
Yeah, that was the whole joke. That's a whole nother story, though, for a whole nother time. But yeah, Mrs. Wong lost her accent, and that's good for her.
Yeah, let's move away from that.
Yeah.
On a lighter note,
Robin cameo? To be honest, I stan this man, especially after watching Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, because he was in that film. It was crazy to, like, hear his voice and it not be a dog.
I mean, you have to have a Blobbin cameo. Like, what even is this if Blobbin didn't appear at least once? And I just love how he's rich. That's honestly the most important thing.
Now we're going to talk about our thoughts on the plot. Like we said before, the plot, it's not super crazy or anything. Like, it's just like an episode.
A long episode.
Yeah, it just feels like a really long episode of the show. It's not life-altering to the characters. It's not like anybody dies.
This isn't a groundbreaking movie.
Although I would definitely say that this is a big deal that the Thundermans have come back for Nickelodeon.
Okay, so I have a lot to say about Max in this film. I was very excited to see Jack Griffo on Nickelodeon again. I just have to say this and get this off my chest because it's just gonna be, like, on my mind, like, forever if I don't. It's creeping me out how much I feel like if they continue or do anything else with this, or even right now, how much he's, like, morphing into some form of Douglas from Lab Rats.
They have the same hair.
The same fashion. The same, like, oh, I'm evil, but, like, now I'm on, like, the good. I can't get over that. Like, please someone tell me in the comments that I'm not the only one who feels this way.
So much about Lab Rats. Like, I didn't expect it to come up so much, but, you know, they're, like, similar.
Basically, Max has this plot line about chasing fame. And I think that this plot line of chasing after fame because he felt second to Phoebe could have been more fleshed out, although the movie isn't that long, to be honest. But either way, I think it could have had the same exact idea, but
went a completely different direction, or at least done a different way. I'm just a bit iffy on the whole use of social media. Not that I'm necessarily bothered by them using social media, because social media has always been in the show to a certain extent, because it was in the 2010s.
Like, they were always like, selfie and stuff like that, and they continued that in this. Like, Cherry did the selfie thing again.
Which is fine, but I hate influencer stuff, and that's what they were doing to him. People kind of forget that TV exists, even though this was going on TV. I feel like instead of being like, I'm an influencer, it could have been more like Scooby-Doo, the live action films, where like they did something and then Max would try to take all the media attention and credit.
Yeah, I kind of like that idea just a little bit more than him being a streamer
and trying to get followers. Now, that's the thing, is that I thought it was funny at first being like, oh yeah, he would so live stream some weird fight or something like that, and I thought that would be funny, but like, it went on too long. It became too much of a plot point.
Yeah, like, he was just always on the phone. I feel like a lot of the times when you saw him in the movie, he was on the phone being like, what's up, guys?
And there's so much more you can do with this character. Max by far is the most interesting character in this whole entire group of characters. So like, why? Why did you do this? Again, this movie isn't very long, so I will cut them some slack for it not being as fleshed out, but I just wish they went about it differently. Either way.
I just feel like Phoebe's perspective when it comes to feeling second best to Max, because the whole thing with them in this movie is that they feel second best to each other, and so they're both doing things to try to feel better about themselves. Phoebe's perspective makes a little bit more sense to me and is a bit more connected to the Thundermans show, whereas like Max trying to get fame is very like disconnected. Him being an influencer streamer, like, that's a little bit disconnected from the show, and it's like a completely new plot point. But Phoebe, instead, it's just her like trying so hard, you know?
Because that's what I mean, actually. You know what, take it back. I actually do think that it should have been more fleshed out, because I think that it would have made more sense for us to get more of his perspective and his thought process behind why he felt second best, because we didn't get to see any of that emotional process at all. And I feel like we needed that, because Phoebe always felt kind of second best in a certain way. Like, she was always trying so hard at everything. But with Max, he always felt different, or like almost had this like kind of superiority because he was a villain. He didn't have to try to be better than them at villainy because he was the only villain. So he already was kind of happy with himself in a certain way.
What is the future of the Thundermans franchise? What does all of this even mean, considering the fact that they had a cliffhanger ending? Dr. Colosso.
Will there be a sequel? Is the Thundermans coming back to the network? I doubt it.
I honestly don't know.
There might just be a sequel, and if anything were to be a TV show, I doubt it would come back to the network. It would probably just go on Paramount.
Yeah, as sad as it is, I don't think that the Thundermans will be really introduced to the new generation too much. Instead, they'll have to watch their awful live-action Loud House films on Nickelodeon. Sorry, I'm a hater.
But yeah, I guess that this was our overall thoughts. Honestly, the only things that I have left to say is that I guess I would have appreciated if the action scenes were different. I would have to go back and look at fight scenes from the show, but like from the looks of it, even like Henry Danger fighting and choreographed, fighting looked better than that.
For half of the huge fight, or like not even half of it, most of it, Electress had her hands like stuck like this and couldn't use her powers. And it was just like, what is this right now?
I know, and I'm
it
sorry.
made me so upset.
But for how strong Hank is, I don't understand what was happening. Like, that's the thing, is I expect stupid stuff with Billy and Nora. That was completely okay for them to be just messing around during that
whole
fight.
Yeah.
That is fine. But it felt like with this movie, if it didn't have to do with Max or Phoebe, the fighting just was bad. And it doesn't even make
makes sense to me because Barb and Hank are the experienced ones. And like, I know that, sorry, I'm getting very passionate about this, but I know that Max and Phoebe are younger and they are training a lot more, but at the end of the day, I feel like Hank and Barb are the real superheroes by this point. Like, they have a legacy. What are they doing?
Like, they're supposed to be more experienced, unless it's just like they're getting old, so they're not as good as fighting. I don't even know. This movie coming out means a lot to me. The Thundermans was a really big part of my childhood. I would skip church every Saturday night to stay home and watch the Thundermans instead, because the Thundermans is more important than religion.
Yeah, again, I watched this show religiously, as in I watched it instead of going to church. Every Saturday night. I ain't waking up at 10 on a Sunday, so I guess I'm not going on Saturday either. I'm watching the Thundermans.
It would piss me off so much because they'd always have new episodes airing that I, like, never even seen. And then it's like, we have to go to church again? Are you kidding me? I'm just gonna go there and fall asleep in the pew anyway. Might as well order some pizza and get a Redbox movie and watch the new episode of the Thundermans. God.
Yeah, God.
No hate to anyone that goes to church with me saying that. It's not for me.
But yeah, this movie, I'm very glad that it came out. Sorry, I feel like maybe with my criticism, it seemed like I didn't like the movie, but like, the thing is, what I liked about it is all the sitcom stuff. And that was the majority of what it was, so I actually really enjoyed this movie. Although the villains, it's like, it's funny, but it's also kind of eh.
Yeah.
But like, at least they were already in the show, right?
Yeah.
That's important. Keep the, not only continuity, but consistency.
Well, actually, I don't know if the villains' kids were in the show, because the villains' kids were more so the villains in this movie, but
their
parents were already in the show, I know that.
That's what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm excited to see where this goes, and I hope that the future of the Thundermans is very bright. And considering some of the changes that they have already made with this film, I hope it's very inclusive and positive going forward. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up and support the channel. Comment down below your thoughts on this film. We like our comment sections to be an open discussion, so if you don't agree with us, that's completely okay. Don't feel like afraid to express a different opinion.
Obviously, as long as you do it respectfully.
Yeah.
And respect other people's opinions as well in the comments.
So tell us your thoughts on the film. Did we love it when Hank broke through the ceiling?
Did we need more Max Thunderman content?
Yes.
Not influencer content, though. I need more followers.
You know what I really wish that this movie had? I wish they had an intro. I wish they had a theme song.
What you see is not what you get.
Like, I wish that they would have brought it back, but I guess the theme song doesn't even make sense for them anymore because of the fact that they don't live a double life anymore. Living our lives with a secret, they aren't anymore.
Acting like that's a shock. Hey, what? It just ruined my whole entire childhood. How are you? Oh my god, she's such a good actress. No, this is like after your divorce. Yeah, why did you do that to me? Okay, you gotta move on.
I actually can't now. Now I'm actually gonna cry.
Ace Moving Company.
I swear some of you aren't even gonna know what we're talking about. We'll have to put a picture on the screen, because, like, if y'all are a Thundermans fan and you don't know the Ace Moving Company, this has been such a meme in our household for years.
No, every day we're just like, Ace Moving Company. Just because, like, of how oddly edited, like, Hank, like, coming in, like, it abruptly stops.
He would be in a car crash right now. We do have a gaming channel. A link to that will be in the description below. We have fun on there. We mostly play Nintendo games, but we did get a PS5 recently, so we do plan to play some PlayStation games on there as well, aka DreamWorks All-Star Racing and Spider-Man 2. I don't know how I'm gonna control myself when we film those videos because all the love of my lives are in there. Or in that game.
It's too much.
Okay, time to get out of the Ace Moving Company truck. The ride is over.
Yeah, you gotta get out, and we may or may not take all your furniture with us. $50, please? And no furniture.
Go God bless you. Have an amazing day, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye!
Stan, Max Thunderman, and Dr. Colasso.
Oh my gosh, they're the most iconic duo of all time. Like, not even him and Phoebe. Oh my god.
Stan.
Literally.
We filmed this video a while ago before the Quiet on Set documentary came out, and we just wanted to address this because obviously this video is a video about a Nickelodeon movie.
Yeah, although this isn't associated with Dan Schneider, it's not like he made this or anything, it still needs to be addressed as to what we're going to be doing moving forward.
I just don't personally, like, obviously, like, this video will go up and you're watching it right now. But I don't really want to talk about Nickelodeon right now. I don't feel comfortable doing so. And we probably won't make any videos about Nickelodeon TV shows for a very long time.
Again, it doesn't mean that we never will, ever again, but it probably won't be for a very long time. It just doesn't even feel appropriate to be making videos talking about how much we enjoy these shows when there's so much awful things going on right now and so many people are suffering because of these shows.
Yeah, and I just want to show my support. And it's just hard because, we all enjoyed those shows and still do.
Like, it was our childhood.
Yeah.
But it's just a really bad situation.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure you guys understand.
Yeah.
But
we hope that you guys enjoyed this video anyway.
Yeah. But we just wanted to let you guys know what and why we are doing what we're going to do moving forward on our channel.